Happy Friday, guys. Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and a very special Happy Friday because it's the 4th of July weekend, so you get that extra day off in most cases. You know, you get to cook out, watch fireworks. Now you have to ask yourself, which camera phone is going to be the best to take pictures of those fireworks? Well, I have a pretty good idea of two good ones. HTC Evo 3D, LG Optimus 3D. Why, you ask? Because they both take pictures in 3D. They're the latest and the greatest in the camera departments with 3D capabilities. But you know what we do in Phone Dog land when you can't decide which one's the best? We do a dogfight. So you have the HTC Evo 3D over here, 1.2 gigahertz dual-core processor, 4.3-inch display, dual 5-megapixel cameras on the back. Then you have the LG Optimus 3D coming to the States soon as the LG Thrill 4G on AT&T. 4.3-inch display over here, dual 5-megapixel cameras on the back. Pretty cool in its own right. Which one of these is the best? Which one should you go with? We're going to find out in the dogfight, but first, special thanks to our guys at Best Buy. They do such a great job of hooking us up with phones in our one-paw bandit game because we give those to you so you get your chance to win. When you walk into Best Buy Mobile, you don't deal with rebates. You walk in, you pay that after rebate price. I don't like paperwork. You probably don't like paperwork unless you're like a CPA or an accountant or something. That you know, you don't have to deal with rebates and crazy paperwork and waiting 8 to 10 weeks. Super cool in my book, but enough of that. Let's get into it. HTC Evo 3D, LG Optimus 3D. Which one's best? Let's go check it out and find out. So it's 4th of July, you want to take some awesome pictures. You're like, I need a good smartphone and I want to try out the 3D. Well, really you have two options. The HTC Evo 3D is the first 3D smartphone in the United States. It's available now on Sprint for $199.99 with a 2-year agreement. And then you have the LG Optimus 3D. Now this isn't available in the States yet. You can purchase it. Actually, I think Carphone Warehouse is shipping this right now, as of today actually, if I remember right. But it's coming to the States soon as the LG Thrill 4G on AT&T. And if you look at the Thrill and you look at the Optimus 3D, very minor differences with the exception of obviously some AT&T stuff pre-installed and a slightly different battery door. Overall design's pretty similar. So, you know, while we're doing this dogfight, really, it's almost an Evo 3D versus a Thrill 4G dogfight with the exception of, you know, of course, network speeds, things like that. But they're both well-equipped devices. You have a dual-core 1.2 gigahertz Snapdragon processor over here. 4.3-inch display. Now it's a QHD display, which is what we've seen on stuff like the Motorola Droid X2, but the thing I love about this display is it's not pixelated. It's a 540 by 960 display. It's 4.3 inches, and it's a lot longer and narrower than, and I don't have the other Evo on me, but than the previous Evo 4G. It's a lot thinner, easier to hold in the hand as opposed to being kind of bulky and thick like the Evo 4G was. So better feel in the hand, and you can look at the size. You know, they're very similar in terms of size as well. Perhaps a little bit thicker on the Evo 3D end, and I don't have the official numbers in front of me, but it just seems a little bit thicker. But obviously design open interpretation. But then you have dual 5-megapixel cameras on the back. These are capable of shooting 720p video in 2D and in 3D. Now, Sprint released a press release shortly after this was announced. You know, originally it was rumored that it was going to do 1080p video in 2D. It does not. It only does 720 in 2D and 3D, and they have since gone back and rectified that through an email sent to all the press types, such as cool people like myself, you know. But anyway, that front-facing camera as well. Android 2.3 with HTC Sense 3.0. So it's running, you know, the latest software on all fronts. It's running Android 2.3 rather, Gingerbread, and it's running Sense 3.0, which is the newest version of HTC's popular overlay. So you can see the little circle, the unlock screen looks a lot different. This whole area looks different. You can see that the carousel effect is much different. I don't want to spend too much time talking about the user interfaces in this video because I want to get right into the dogfight and talk more about the comparisons between 3D and things like that. But anyway, you know, Android 2.3, Sense 3.0. Then you have this. You have the LG Optimus 3D, and it's a very powerful phone as well. You got a 1 gigahertz dual-core TI OMAP processor, so Texas Instruments dual-core processor over here. 4.3-inch display. Now this is 480 by 800 pixels, so a little different. It's not a high-resolution display, and obviously the camera's not going to show it off, but when you look at these two phones side by side, it's noticeable that the resolution is a little bit higher and a little bit better on the Evo 3D. The screens held side by side, much better on the Evo 3D, in my opinion. So 1500 milliamp hour battery over here, 1730 milliamp hour battery over here. So it's been interesting to watch the battery life stuff. I'll talk about that a little later, probably in part 2. But as well in the back here, dual 5-megapixel cameras that can shoot in HD as well. So you got those back there as well. Now the real question is, I worked with this one. I got this one about a week and a half before the Evo 3D came in. So I was kind of spoiled with this one first and seeing 3D content on this one. And to me, 3D looks much better. The viewing angle of 3D looks much better on this one. Now both of these have what's called stereoscopic displays. You do not need 3D glasses to view the 3D content. The challenge lies in, these are very personal rather, displays, meaning that you can't have a crowd of people around. They're not going to see the 3D effect. It's just going to give them a headache. And if you don't hold it the exact way that it needs to be held, and the exact distance, you're not going to get a good 3D picture. But over here, micro USB charging port on the left side, capacitive buttons down there at the bottom. This I really like, a toggle switch between 2D and 3D content, and then of course a camera shortcut button, which if you watch any of my videos, you know how much I love camera shortcut buttons. They are the bee's knees, seriously. And then the bee's knees, really. Did I actually just say that? 2D and 3D over here, so you can switch easily back and forth in the camera between the two. Volume rocker, 3.5mm headphone jack, power button as well, and then a nice red ring around the camera. Then over here you have an HDMI port, which is a big plus for the Optimus 3D and soon to be the Thrill 4G. Micro USB charging port, both of these covered by a little piece of plastic. Volume rocker, 3D button over here, which when you click on that, it opens up your range of 3D content. You can't see this. You can kind of see the 3D effect there, but you can't really see full 3D because you're looking at it through a camera lens. But it just looks so much better on this one, and I'll get into that more later. Front-facing camera on this one, power button, 3.5mm headphone jack as well. So it's interesting. This one, I really like the texturized battery door over here. It has a good feel to it. It's easier to hold in the hand. This one is a lot like the Evo 4G. It's a little bit wider. It's got that 480 by 800 resolution. It's a little thicker, a little harder to hold in the hand, whereas this really just fits in your hand really easily. And when you're holding it up to your ear, it's long enough to where the microphone comes down pretty close to your mouth. But this one's running Android 2.2. It's not running Gingerbread just yet, so it's a little bit behind on the Android software front, especially with Ice Cream Sandwich that's been announced and will be coming out shortly. But it's running LG's custom user interface. So we didn't see this on the G2X, then all of a sudden this interface came into play on the LG Revolution, and then now on the Optimus 3D, and it'll be on the Thrill 4G as well when it launches. So it's a little bit different. It's funny because all of these manufacturers, rather HTC, Samsung, even Motorola, have had a lot of time over the years with Android to really tweak their user interfaces. I mean, they're on Sense version 3, Samsung's on TouchWiz version 4, Motorola's on MotoBlur version 7 million, whatever version they're on, and whatever they're calling it now, because they don't want it to be called MotoBlur due to public feedback. So Motorola's applications platform. But you can see, it's just one of those things. It's new for LG, and you can tell that it's really in its infancy. It has a playful look to it, which you may love, you may hate. It reminds me a lot, a kind of a weird combination between TouchWiz and iOS, but it just, it's one of those things. It didn't strike me. I didn't care for it at first, and still a lot of elements that I don't care for about it. But just to give you an idea, you go into applications here. You can see you can pinch to zoom out, and then zoom in, or pinch out rather, to zoom in. And then you have your notifications bar up here, just to show you some of the differences that they've made to stock Android 2.2. You can see the shortcuts up the top: vibrate, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, and then mobile data. And you have the ability to select your music from the notifications bar, and then you have your notifications below where it would say AT&T or T-Mobile or whatever carrier you're on. So no notifications at the moment, but you can see there's just a really tiny space there for notifications. On the other end here, you have, like I said, Android 2.3, and apparently AT&T wants my feedback, so I'll save that one for later and then bring that back. You can see this is new in Sense 3.0. Actually, this came out in Sense 2.1, but they carried it over to 3.0. So you saw this on the Incredible 2 first, but I like this quick settings tab at the bottom, which gives you access to everything: Wi-Fi, Sprint hotspot, 4G. So you get that quick access to everything that you're going to use: Bluetooth, 4G. You need to turn on Sprint hotspot. You can do it all from quick settings. And then HTC's also bundled a task killer, or a task manager rather. So you can go in here and see how much memory you have, how much you've used. You can kill it and refresh, so you're not downloading a third-party application like Advanced Task Killer or something like that from the market. There's this huge debate in the community right now as to whether task killers are effective or not. I'm not going to weigh in on that debate on camera, on record, but at the moment at least. But HTC, a manufacturer-approved version like HTC's or Samsung's, you should be perfectly fine. So out of the box, you get 3D games, a lot of Sprint stuff here. Now this I really like, HTC Hub and HTC Likes. You get that out of the box. So you can go into HTC Hub and HTCSense.com, download customized wallpapers, ringtones, and more, and then you get NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile. You get some Sprint stuff: Sprint Mobile Wallet, Sprint Radio, Sprint TV and Movies, and Sprint Zone. You get Spider-Man 3D, and you get a free movie as well, the Green Hornet 3D. Now you have to register for HTC's, I want to say it's HTC Watch, if I remember right, that you have to register for. Yeah, okay, so you have to register for that, get an account, and then the Green Hornet will play for you automatically. So let's see, accept the license agreement. So you can see it's loading up right now, and I've already downloaded it, so it's pretty quick and pretty easy. Over here, this isn't a carrier device or carrier-supported device in the States just yet, so you see a lot of LG stuff like App Advisor. You see some custom LG, all the stuff like Call Log. You can see that those are custom LG icons, but things like Finance, LG World, Remote Call, Smart Share. This is a European device. These may or may not come to the Thrill when it hits in the States, so no guarantees on that. But if you download it, or if you buy it, it can clearly tell it's Friday. If you buy it, overseas and bring it over, you're going to get this stuff on the device. And then a whole 3D menu here with camera, gallery, games, guide, space, Gulliver's Travels, Let's Golf 2, Nova 3D, a lot of game options and a lot of ways to really show off that 3D content. So very cool there. Let's do a quick look through messaging here just to show you. I'm going to all messages. And I want to show you the keyboards here. Now you get two keyboards out of the box with the Evo 3D. You get the touch input, HTC's keyboard, and you get swipe out of the box as well. So you have two options on this one. Now on this one, I'll show you the new message here so you can see. It comes with LG's custom keyboard, and then when you go over here and I type input method, you can see that there's no other input method available. So it's just LG's keyboard. It reminds me a lot of iOS keyboard. There are a lot of very similarities to iOS here, even in the way it sounds. And I was so expecting that to make noise, but it didn't because I had it on silent. Fox, so you can tell that sound is very, very familiar. Ready for the weekend. I feel like the Quick Brown Fox is pretty lazy. Like he's always ready for the weekend or ready to party or ready to drink or ready to sleep, but that's okay. Quick Brown Fox is ready for the weekend. You can see it in landscape mode as well. Now that's a decent keyboard. The auto correction isn't fantastic on this keyboard just yet. They really need to do some work on that in future builds of LG's interface. So LG, if you're listening, work on your keyboard, but overall, you know, it's pretty easy to type on, and when you do make those mistakes, you just have to remember to go back and correct those because there's a 99% chance that the autocorrect didn't do it properly. HTC is one of my favorite in the industry. They do a great job. It's my favorite right after Motorola's multi-touch keyboard, and it's very easy to type on as well. Quick Brown Fox is hungry. Actually, the Quick Brown Fox just ate lunch with me earlier. We went out and grabbed a quick bite. So Quick Brown Fox is hungry. You can see in landscape here as well because the screen's a little bit longer, maybe a little bit easier for somebody with large thumbs to type on. But all in all, good keyboard on this one as well. Very easy to type on, and HTC's auto correction is second to none. So if you're doing a lot of email and you don't want to download a third-party keyboard from the Android market, just on keyboard alone, the Evo 3D is the winner. That said, of course, you can download stuff from the Android market and more to make it a little bit easier to use.